Hello, welcome back to our Web Technologies Bootstrap program. Okay, from Ekadyu. So in the last session, we were discussing about version control system using GitHub. Okay, so again we are back to JavaScript. We discussed today about the functions. Okay, what is a function? How to declare functions? We discuss about all those things in today's session. Okay, so functions are very fundamental concepts in any programming language. Okay, JavaScript, C, C++, Java. Okay, so in all these languages they are very basic things. So with the help of functions we can have modularity. We can create reusable code with the help of that, and it can be even easily maintained. This is the advantage of creating functions and using. Okay, they basically follow the principle of drive. Okay, so they use the principle of basically drive. Okay, so when we talk about this JavaScript now, a function is nothing but a reusable block of code. Okay, and even we can call this as a subprogram. It's called as subprogram, and which is called in the main program. Okay, a function may contain number of statements, but the function is going to be treated like one unit. As a single unit we are going to treat it. So when we execute function or when we invoke function, all the statements in that they get executed. Number of statements we put in one code block, so that code block can be called as here function. Okay, sometime back in some of the examples we have seen alert, confirm, similarly prompt. These are nothing but predefined functions. So using them we can open dialog boxes. So dialog box is a mechanism which with the help of that user can interact with the program. Okay, so when we talk about alert, it just displays information to user. When you go with confirm, you have yes or no options. Similarly, when you go with the prompt, user can input, user can enter something, so that can be copied to variable, or whatever you want to do you can do. So like that we have seen 3 inbuilt functions, and in the last session I was explaining about the math module. In that we have functions like sqrt and floor. So sqrt is basically giving you square root of the given number. Okay, the floor is gives you, like suppose you have a number like 22 by 7. When you have a number 22 by 7, that is nothing but rational number. Okay, so when you divide 22 by 7 you get 3.14, and you keep on getting the recurring digits that never ends. So 22 by 7 is a rational number. This is very much used in many calculations. It's called as pi, as we know. Okay, so whenever you divide 22 with 7 you get 3.14 and something. Whatever number you are getting, that is lying in between 3 and 4. Okay, it is lying in between 3 and 4. So using floor function you can get 3, and using ceil function you can get there like 4. So all these are nothing but predefined functions, but in a particular module they are available. In the math module they are available. Okay, so like this we have many predefined functions. Even in the last sessions we created few functions like generate random numbers and perfect square or not. So those functions we are calling, we created them and we are calling. And when you create a function you have here some parameters. This is called as parameter, and these are nothing but here parameters. Okay, these are not parameters, basically these are called as arguments. Okay, when you define a function at the time, okay, perfect square or not, you see here you have num is nothing but here a parameter. But whenever you invoke it, where are we invoking it? Perfect square or not? Here we are invoking it. So here whatever you get, this is called as your argument. So basically in the interchangeable manner we use like argument and parameter. So parameters, we should call parameter whenever you define a function, and when you put those like after function within the parenthesis, whatever data you are trying to pass to function, so those specifications you give, that is called as parameter. But whenever you invoke, okay, so whenever you invoke, at the time actual values pass, so the actual values can be called as your arguments. This is the basic difference between parameter and argument. Okay, so today we learn how to define a function, or in general how to define functions. We can define in several ways functions. So but the basic two ways of doing actually is, one is function declaration, other one is function expression. Okay, we can declare a function and we can go with a function expression. In two ways most commonly we use it. So now let us see how to define a function using declaration. With expression you can define a function. Similarly you can define a function with the declaration. Okay, so this is nothing but here a function you are declaring. Function followed by name of the function, then inside this whatever code you want to write you have written. Okay, so this is called as a function with declaration. This is called as your function declaration. The function keyword followed by name of the function. We have here name of the function. Okay, now let us try to write all this in new file. I want to name this as functions.html. Okay, the name is here functions.html. So as soon as you put HTML, if you can get some boilerplate code, that would be nice, but here it is not providing. The Visual Studio Code does not provide such things. Had it been some other language, other kind of IDE like Visual Studio, probably you may get those things. So it cannot create for you boilerplate code. So what is the meaning of boilerplate code? A boilerplate code is nothing but the minimum required for a particular file, it is going to automatically give you. So that is called as boilerplate code. Okay, so here we need to write everything. Now go here with the doc type declaration as we do normally. Then here like HTML, then title. Okay, then followed by here you go with the other one. So within the HTML you require head tag. Okay, within that we have a title tag or title element. Then we have a body element, closing. So whatever HTML page you may take, this is going to be bare minimum. This will be bare minimum. Doc type HTML, then you have HTML tag here, starting tag, and this is ending tag here, and within that you have a head tag. This is closing, starting tag, closing tag, then body starting tag and body closing tag. So like this you have the HTML page here. Okay, so you have here HTML page. Suppose as soon as you create a file here with an extension .html, if it is creating all these things for you, that is going to be really good. So that is called as boilerplate code. Okay, so that is called as here boilerplate code. So automatically if it's getting generated, that would be really nice, but Visual Studio does not do that. Okay, in the case of other IDEs probably you get that, because these are very much bare minimum for us. Okay, if it is getting added for us automatically, straight away you can focus on the creating a web page. So for every web page this is the bare minimum required. Fine. So like now what we do, we try to define the functions here. A function is nothing but JavaScript code. Okay, a function is nothing but a JavaScript code. So either within the script tag, script element you need to define here, or else in some other JavaScript file we must define it. Okay, so either in the HTML document you can define, or we can define in the external file. So if you define in the external file, it can be reused in number of pages, you can use same code. If you think that the same code, if you want to use in multiple pages, try to define in the external file. So JavaScript can be external or internal. So within the same page, when you define some code, JavaScript code or functions, they are basically using script tag, we need to do it. Okay, but if you want to use same functions in number of HTML pages in the given website, in such cases define in the external file, then you refer in whatever page you want to access those functions or use those functions. So then that way you can achieve the reusability. Okay, so you can achieve the reusability. So you can have modularity, you will be having few errors in that case. So that way basically you can use. Okay. So basically I was saying about dry. What is the meaning of dry? Don't repeat yourself. Dry meaning is what exactly? Don't repeat yourself. Okay, same thing, don't repeat again and again. Define only once, use it number of times. So that is called as dry. Dry meaning is what here? Don't repeat it yourself a number of times. Same thing, don't write again and again. Define only once, use same thing in number of places if you want to get same type of functionality. So that is called as here dry. Okay, so now what we do here, within the either in the body or in the head part of that, we can define the functions. So whatever functions you want to define, you can define. So functions can be defined in two different ways. The first one is function declaration, second thing is function expression. Okay, now I want to define here something like this script. Okay, within the body itself I am defining it. Now here I want to define a function. With the help of that we can find sum of three numbers. Okay, just sometimes you want to find sum of three numbers, then you can use the like sum function. Here it is sum, then put here a, b and c. So here what a, b and c are? They are parameters. A is a parameter, b is a parameter, c is a parameter. And as we know, JavaScript is not strongly typed language. Okay, it is not strongly typed language, so therefore we don't associate any particular type of data with the A, with B or with C. Okay, like this, if you give that's enough A, B, C, they can contain any type of data. Okay, it's not strictly typed language. So it is the responsibility of the programmer. Proper data is actually getting sent to this function. So now I want to find here the sum of a, b and c. I want to return that. Okay, a function may contain a return at the end of the function or not. Sometimes it may contain a return at the end of the function if it is returning some value to the caller. Okay, so there are two words we use. One is caller, other one is callee. Callee means the name of the function which you are calling. So caller is the other program which is calling the given function. So what is that? We see now. Suppose you have function sum abc. Now we want to find the sum of a, b and c. Here write s equal to a plus b plus c. We write like this. Then here we need to type return just s. Okay, so this is going to return here the sum of the three numbers. And here these are called as arguments, or you can say formal parameters. Sorry, not arguments, formal parameters they are. Okay, parameters are very formal, like a, b, c we are saying. So the value can be anything. A can be 100, a can be 1000, b can be 50, b can be 5. So whatever values you want to pass, you can pass. But these are called as here formal parameters. Okay, these are called as formal parameters. Whenever you invoke function, at the time you are going to pass with exact values. That can be called as sometimes formal, like actual parameters, or we can call them as arguments. Okay, when you define a function, at the time these are called as parameters. But whenever you invoke the function or whenever you call the function, whatever values you are passing, they are called as arguments. We call them as arguments. So now this is what exactly, this is the function we defined. So using function declaration. Now I want to invoke this function. To invoke this function, I have to call this here. I just call sum. Okay, so I can write here alert followed by sum. Then here I want to pass thing like 10, 15, then one more thing is here 20. Like this I pass the arguments. So this should give us 45 as the result. Okay, now this is the function we defined, and where are we calling? In the main program we are calling it. So whatever script you write, this is called as here complete main. You can think like that. Within that you have a subprogram. Okay, this subprogram we are going to call. So this main program is called as your caller, whereas sum is called as callee. Sum is callee and your main program is your caller. So this particular sum is invoked or called by the main program. So alert sum 10, 15, 20 we gave. This has to give us here how much value? 45 we need to get. Let us run and see what happens in this. Okay, so let us go into the concerned folder here. The folder is web technologies. Okay, so in this the file name is here functions.html. Let us launch, and this says here 45. Okay, it says here 45. So like this we are getting the required result. When you write something like this, this is the name of the function and these are called as parameters. And here what you do, s equal to a plus b plus c, return s. You are returning here the value of the s. So at the end what we do, we are invoking. So this is a subprogram, but you are invoking this in the main program here. You are invoking in the main program this particular thing. So suppose we take this here and try to put before the function definition, what happens? See. Okay, we come to this part and we keep here. Now when you run this, what will happen? Let us see in this. Still this works. Okay, still this is going to work here. So this is what a subprogram, but here this is exactly what you are invoking it. So using here a hoisting concept, this is working here. So I request you to find out what is hoisting, what is variable hoisting, and what is function hoisting. You try to find it. Okay, so just try to find what is exactly function hoisting and what is exactly variable hoisting, how it is working in the JavaScript. So here first of all we are invoking function, then we are finding the definition of the function. Okay, so when you do like this, what happens? First of all, this code will be getting moved above the alert, then after the alert will be getting executed. So this is the hoisting concept. Okay, this is called as here hoisting. So because of that, though this is coming first in the script, it is going to work because the definition you find after the invocation of the function. So this is still valid. This concept is called as function hoisting. Similarly, variables also. Okay, in the same manner they can work. Suppose you have some variable here, alert some x. Okay, here what I do, x equal to 1000 I put. What should happen now here? It should print 1000. What happens? See here 45. Okay, it's not working. So let us see what is the problem in this. So this says x is not defined. Okay, x is not getting defined here. But after this, if you put, what happens? See, we go here and keep, then this works properly. Okay, so come to this point here, then invoke it. 45, then 1000 is getting printed. Okay, so alert x, when I say above this one, immediately the function is getting invoked there, alert function. Okay, so here what I do, x equal to 1000 I put here, then y equal to, I put this as 2000, then z equal to, I try to put here 3000. Now let us see by calling sum here. Okay, again you go with alert, then this is sum, then give here x comma y comma z here. So what will happen, see now in this. Let us try to again run this here. Again you have same problem. Okay, we are getting the same problem here. So functions can be hoisted but variables cannot be hoisted in this case. So what happens here, you are invoking function here but function is getting defined after that. Okay, so first it is loading this part, after that it's invoking. So definition has always higher precedence over the invocation, it means. So definition has highest precedence or higher precedence over the invocation. So we define here, then we are invoking. So but first we are invoking it, then after that you can find the definition. So this concept is called as here hoisting. But with variables that kind of feature is not working. Okay, that feature is not working with the variables. Okay, so here this is nothing but a function. This is called as a declaring a function. You are declaring a function here. This is called as function declaration. Function keyword followed by the name of the function, then we specify here parameters a, b, c, and inside this what we do, we are adding a, b and c together, then whatever result we get we are writing it to s. At the end we are returning s here. Okay, now let us define one more function without return value. So function, okay, so function here it is sum all, then followed by here I give this way like a comma b comma c here. Okay, so this is sum all, this is a comma b comma c I give here, then I want to print here their sum. Console.log followed by here this is a plus b plus c, like this I can write. Okay, so now this function is not returning, rather immediately it is writing some value onto the console. Onto the console it is writing here, but this function is returning. If you want to return some value from the function, you can return. So otherwise if you don't want to return, you need not add the return keyword, it's not mandatory. Okay, return keyword is not mandatory, but whenever you want to return something, you can return. Wherever the program encounters return, it is going to be returning from there itself. After that, even if you have statements, it will not execute. Remember this point. So your code may contain some 100 lines. Okay, at the 5th line or at the 6th line, suppose you write here return value, so it is going to be returning from there. After that, whatever code you have, it will not be getting executed. So this way you can use the return keyword. Okay, so first one is what here, a function with a name sum. Next thing is what here, function sum all. So let us see what values we get here on the screen. What we are going to get, let us see. We get 45, and we go to the more tools and developer tools. Here in the console window you can find no user messages, so just refresh it. Okay, still we are not getting any messages here. What is the reason? Let us see. So if you come to the code, I just defined the function but I haven't invoked it. Function definition will not automatically execute anything, so we need to call this function here. If you call, then you get the result. I just defined the function but I haven't called. So simply if you define a function, if you don't invoke, automatically it will not work. So first you need to define function, then wherever you require you need to invoke or you need to call it. So now let me call here. So let me call this sum all. I am invoking like this. Now just run this here. Now run this, you get 45. Okay, again it's giving here, the spelling is wrong. Console I need to put here CONAOLE I have written, so that is the mistake. Instead of that, now I can put here console. Again run this here, so you can see this time the value nan it says, not a number. So why it is not a number? Here it is console.log a plus b plus c. Okay, so I am not passing any arguments here. I am not passing any arguments, because of that it says not a number. Okay, so here put now 10, you put 20, then you put 45. Okay, so 10, 20 and 45, let us put here. What result we get? See in this. Now execute this. this time you can get again nan only. So why it is nan? Let us save this and again try to run. We are writing console.log a plus b plus c, we have written there. So this should print for us what is the result of a plus b plus c. This is 30 plus 45, you need to get 75 there. Okay, when we invoke here, this has to give us the result, but it says nan only. Okay, so why this is nan? Let us see here. We have taken a, b and c. When we go with the a, b and c, we are passing here only 2 arguments. These mistakes you get very frequently. I have written here not 3 arguments, I have just given only here 2 arguments. Instead of putting comma, I kept here some dot. Because of that you have error. So now run this and try to see what result you get. You get this time 75. So getting errors like that is very common. You have to be very careful with coding. So whenever you get that error, whenever you get such errors, without getting panicked, you need to debug and you need to see where the problem is. Identifying problem is very, very important. Debugging skills are required for developers. Okay, where things are going wrong, you have to very quickly understand. Very quickly we need to analyze the code, and based on that you need to find solution very quickly. Where things are going wrong, you need to be finding that very quickly. So this is simple application. Normally we should not commit such mistakes. Okay, but we are committing. Wantedly we may be committing, or we are committing here. Okay, so in bigger applications, finding the error, debugging skills are very important. Very quickly you need to find the problem there, where the problem it is, and rectifying that within no time is required in the software development. Okay, so here now everything is working proper. Everything is working here properly. So we defined here 2 functions. First function is sum, second function is what? Sum all. Okay, the first function is returning a value, whereas sum all is not returning a value. So like this here we define 2 functions and we are invoking both of them. So this is called as here function declaration. We declare function here and we are even invoking them. This is called as here function declaration. Okay, first function is returning a value, but second function is not returning anything, but it is printing something on the console. Okay, it is printing something on the console. So this is exactly what we call this as function declaration. Now let us go with the function expression. Okay, so we go with the function expression. So this is one notation. You can have another notation that is called as function expressions. Okay, it is similar to function declaration, but function expressions allow you to define a named function or omit the function name to create an anonymous function. Okay, so function expressions allow us to define a named function or omit the function name to create an anonymous function. So here I want to define something like this. I can write like this: my func equal to, I define like this here, function followed by, okay, like I want to print something here, show my name, like this I give, followed by here name. Okay, then here I want to print something like this, console.log. Here it is, by using template strings I would like to print something. Okay, so for template strings you need to use the backtick. Here write my name is, then what we require, a dollar is required, then we require curly brackets. Within that you need to put the name, which is nothing but a variable. This is nothing but actually argument. So this is called as here local variable. Okay, this is called as here local variable. Like this you can define. So to a variable you are assigning a function. This is called as here function expression. Okay, but this is not an anonymous function. To invoke this function you can use the variable name myfunc here. Okay, it is not an anonymous function. An anonymous function doesn't have any name for the function. Okay, so this is what we create a function using function expression. Let my func equal to function show name console.log my name is. So like this we have defined. Now how to invoke this? See here, you can invoke in this manner. You can be invoking this in this manner here. Okay, so while invoking, come to this point here, console.log followed by my func, and to this you pass the argument. Argument can be like this, ekadyu. You put something like this. Now let us execute this. What result we get? See here. So what it says here, my name is ekadyu. It's printing this as my name is ekadyu. It's printing here. We pass the argument, okay, to the name of the variable here. Okay, let my func equal to function show my name. Okay, to an identifier we are assigning. So whenever you write something like this, this is called as an expression. It is called as an expression because you have here two terms, left side and right side. Two sides you have here. This is left side and this is right side here. So using equal symbol we have written. So this is called as an expression. Okay, so you define a function using actually expression notation here. So let my func equal to function show my name, okay, followed by here name. We define like this here. So show my name followed by here some name we put here, function show my name console.log my name is something like this here. So to invoke this function, now what we do using my func keyword you can do. This is not any anonymous function. To the right side you are defining function, but to invoke this one you require here my func. So using that variable name you can do it. Okay, this is not anonymous function. This function has name basically, but we are assigning the entire function to a variable here. To invoke this variable we use console.log my func ekadyu. So this is called as here function expression. Okay, so we are called as function expression. Here what is happening, a function keyword is creating a function which we are assigning to a variable. So this is what a function expression. Now to invoke function, what we do here, we take the variable name, to that we are passing the value my func, to that we are passing value ekadyu there. Okay, so there is one difference between the function declaration and function expression. So in the case of the function declaration, what we are doing here, if you see on the top, what we do, before you define the function we are invoking it. Okay, so with function declaration we can invoke the function before we define it. With function expressions it's not possible. Okay, with function expressions it's not possible. Earlier we were doing with the variables, so at that time it was not possible. That was the reason I have shown you there. Okay, so now this is treated like variable. First you need to define this, then after that you have to use. But before that if you try to use, definitely you get error. Okay, so come to this point here, then try to invoke it. What will happen? See in that. So refresh this. After that it's giving error. Cannot access my func before initialization. Okay, so what happened here? Here the definition is, but before definition you are invoking it. So this is not possible with the function expressions. But with function declarations that is happening. First we invoke the function, then we declare the function. Okay, but here what is happening? So first you are invoking again, then first you are invoking this here, then after that you are defining. Since this is a function expression, you cannot invoke before the function definition. Here we define basically the function using function expression concept. Okay, so first you need to go with the function expression, then after that you need to invoke. But here what we do, without declaring, so first we invoke it, later on we declare it, which is not possible in the case of function expressions. But if you go with the function declaration, that is very much possible. This is the basic difference between the function declaration and function expressions. Okay, and there is one more concept called arrow functions. Okay, there is one more concept called arrow functions. Arrow functions are actually functions. Okay, they are also nothing but function expressions. So arrow functions are also function expressions, but they have a shorter syntax. Okay, as per the European script version 6, okay, we can write neat and clean code. To write cleaner code and neat code, we use the arrow syntax or arrow functions. Okay, so here let us write actually a arrow function. So whenever you write arrow function, the function keyword is here excluded. We don't have the like function keyword in that. Let us try to define here an arrow function. Okay, so let total equal to, I write like this, let total equal to, you can pass here parameters a comma b comma c here. After that, here I can use the arrow goes to, this is basically, then here you can define the function. So whatever you want to do, you can write here, it can be written here. Okay, so now I want to print here, the sum of a, b and c. The sum of a, b and c I want to print. Okay, so just go with the console.log, then write here a comma b comma c. Similarly, I try to return here, return now a plus b plus c. Like this I want to do here. Okay, now after this let us try to invoke. Okay, let us try to invoke, and here go with the alert, then here it is total, then you pass the arguments here 2, then 5, then 7. So you should get result as 14 for us. Okay, so what we do here, you compare both the things here. Let my func equal to function show my name, you are passing argument here. So you are passing first, you are declaring a parameter. So what is happening here, you are printing the value, required value. So to invoke that, where are we invoking? Basically this one, we need to invoke it after the definition of the like function expression. So if you put here, that would be good. Okay, what happened? So let me cut it here and let me print here in this area. Okay, so they are both of they are same. My func is the name of the function, name of the variable here. To that we are assigning here a function definition. We not function definition exactly, we declare a function here. So the function we are assigning to my func, and whenever you want to invoke the function, this particular function, you need to use the variable name my func followed by whatever parameter you want to pass here, you can pass whatever argument you want to pass, you can pass here. So this is formal parameter, and this is going to be here actual value that we call as argument. Okay, it's going to print here my name is Ekadyu. Okay, next what we are writing, another function we are writing, but this is what it is, arrow function. The difference between arrow function and this is here, we miss actually function keyword here. So the syntax is concise here, with little syntax only we do here. Let total equal to, here you write in the brackets a comma b comma c goes to, here you have equal symbol and greater, that is called as arrow, that is called as goes to also. Goes to, here console.log a comma b comma c followed by return a plus b plus c. So when you go with this, it should print first, okay, 14, and it should show as alert also 14. So how it works, now see. So just do like this. Okay, 14 it says, and 257 it says. Okay, it's just printing here 2 comma 5 comma 7 because we are not using any plus symbol there. So if you put plus symbol, definitely it prints for us 14. Okay, it is going to print 14 for us if you keep the plus symbol there. So again run this here, run here this one. So the page says 14. Okay, and it is printing even 14 here. It's printing even 14. So like this, we define function in 3 different ways. In 3 different ways we are defining function. So what are they basically? One is function declaration, second thing is function expression, third one is here arrow function. Arrow function is similar to function expressions. Okay, here we use a function keyword, but here we don't use any function keyword. Just in the parentheses we put the arguments, then goes to console.log a plus b plus c, return here a plus b plus c. Then here we are invoking. So while invoking, you need to use the variable name. With that you can invoke it. This is the name of the variable, and here this is the name of the variable. So what is that? MyFunc is the name of the variable. Okay, and similarly total is the name of the variable. So using total we are invoking this particular function. So this is called arrow function. We call this as here arrow function. Okay, so in the arrow function we return value. Okay, but when you go with this function expression, we are not returning anything, just we are printing it. Okay, so next thing is we talk about the scope of the function and what is a closure. Okay, what is a closure? A scope is a nested namespace that localizes names and created within it, such that these names do not interfere with similar names created outside of the scope. Okay, there are certain scope rules that apply within a function. So whenever you create a function here, it has its scope. You have a comma b comma c. These are going to be local to this function. These are going to be local to this function here. Okay, these are going to be local here. So this is called as here scope of the function. Okay, once you come out from this function, the variables ABC will not be available. Okay, the ABC are available only while the function is running. So once you come out from the function, the ABC will not be available. So scope is limited to only to this function here. In the same manner, you can define a variable using let keyword. So here I want to keep some brackets like this. Okay, let I put here some n equal to a plus b. I may write like this, divided by c. Like this I want to write this. Okay, here if you put now console.log n, it prints. But when you come here, if you try to print console.log n again, it will give error. If you put here n, it gives error for you, because the scope is limited to only the curly brackets. Let keyword, with the help of the let keyword, you can define a variable whose scope is actually within that particular block. Function is also block, but whenever you have variables like a, b, c, these are called as global variables within the function. Anywhere within the function, the a, b, c are available. But here when you take let a equal to a plus b by c, n is local variable only to these curly brackets. So that's why we call this as a block level variable. This is a block level variable. This feature has been added in recent times. Earlier, Javascript did not support this feature. So in recent times, we have this feature. Let n equal to a plus b by c, we have written console.log n. So n is not available outside the scope of these curly brackets. Though in the same function, here it is not available. So when you invoke this function, it gives an error. Let us see how it gives. Okay, so here, fine. Let us see, n is not available. You should get that message. 45 we get. What it says here? Uncaught reference error, n is not defined at sum all. So in the sum all, we are trying to print here n. So n is defined within these curly brackets, only it is available there, but once you come out from that, the variable is not available. So this is an error. The same thing is getting reflected here in the console window. Okay, so therefore n is what here? It's a local variable within the curly brackets. A, B, C are available within the function, so these are local to this function. So outside the scope of function, the A, B, C will not be available. Whatever A, B, C you have here, they will not be available outside the scope of this function. So they can be global to this function, Okay, only within the function they can work. Outside the scope of function they will not be available. Whereas in general, you see, whereas you write here, okay, I equal to, you put some 1000. Wherever you want to access this I, you can access in any function. You can access within the sum, you can access within the sum all, you can access within the my func, you can access wherever you would like to access, you can access. So it is not defined inside any particular function. So therefore the scope of this function is going to be global. Okay, within the entire script block it is available for us. Within the entire script block I is available. So therefore this is a global variable for us. Normally a global variable we declare using var keyword. There is one var keyword, other one is what here, let keyword. So using var keyword you can declare a variable which can be global. Okay, even here also if you declare a variable, now suppose I want to define here var p equal to some 1000 or 100 you put. If you want to print here, you can print console.log followed by p. When you put, it should not give any error for us. It should not get any error, because var can create a variable. Using var keyword you can create a variable which can be global within the scope. So this program scope is what here, script, whatever code you write within the script here, this can be, or within the same document, within the same page, everywhere this is going to be available. So when you write var I equal to 1000, this is global within this HTML page. Okay, you can access this using only JavaScript code. Okay, so for JavaScript this is going to be global. In all the JavaScript functions you can access I. But if you take here the p is available only within the sum all. You can't access actually outside the scope of sum all. And that too you define p within the curly brackets. So see the difference between let keyword and var keyword. If you declare a variable using let keyword, it is available only within the curly brackets. But when you declare a variable using var keyword, even outside the curly brackets also the scope you have for the p. So that's why we call, when you declare a variable with the var keyword, that is global, and when you declare a variable using let keyword, it is going to be local to the block. Okay, here p is going to be local to this entire function, or you can say within the entire function you can think it as a global variable. Wherever you want to use in the sum all, you can use that. So here the p is going to be local to sum all, whereas if you take I is available for all the functions. So I is what here, it's a global variable. I is nothing but here a global variable. Wherever you would like to use, you can use it. So first of all run this and see what value we get for the p. So this time it should not give any error for us. Okay, so 100 is getting printed for us. Earlier there was no 100, now it is printing 100. So p is available even after the curly brackets. Even after this code block it is available. So p is what here, within the sum all function it is global. Okay, within the sum all it is nothing but here global, but if you come out from the sum all function, if you try to use in some other function the p, it will not be available. So this is what, therefore, local variable. But if you look at the n, it is actually block level variable. Okay, p is a local variable within the sum all, whereas I, if you take, it's a global variable for all the JavaScript here in this particular web page. Wherever you want to access, you can access I. So this is local. This is what here, block level variable. This is local within the same function, or global within the function, like that you can say. So this way you have the scope basically. Okay, this is called as here scope. You have global scope, block level scope, and local scope. Okay, we have here three ways we can declare the scope. Okay, so one more concept is how to make default values for the variables in JavaScript. Suppose you define a function, something like square root you take. Let me define the function and show you. So here I go, then I declare something like this, function followed by square root, or I say root. Okay, I want to go with the root here, then followed by, I want to put num Okay, then similarly exponent equal to, I want to go here with the 2. Basically I want to find here square root, or it can be third root, fourth root, fifth root, sixth root, whatever root you want to find, you can find here. So for that purpose I am defining here a root function, function root followed by num here, then exponent equal to 2 I have written, exponent equal to 2. So when you don't supply this exponent value, automatically it's going to take 2. So this is called as here default value or default parameter. It is default parameter. Okay, when you don't specify that particular argument, automatically it can take a value 2 there. So now here try to find out the square root. Return followed by, okay, return here followed by math dot POW. Okay, power, that is. Here you give the num followed by here 1 divided by here, what is the other argument name we have? Exponent. Okay, exponent, like this we give. So now when we invoke it, how it works, see. Console.log followed by the square root is, the square root is, so here dollar followed by, I want to invoke the root function here, root, then here first of all give 25. Okay, the square root of 25 is, I give something like this here, then I need to end with the backtick. Okay, one more thing I take here, console.log the cubic root, the cubic root of 125 is, here go with the root, then give the 25 followed by give here 3. Okay, so here we should get 5, even in the second case also you should get 5. Here I am passing only one argument, but here I am passing 2 arguments. So when you pass only one argument, what happens? Automatically second value is taken as 2. So this is called as default parameter. Okay, exponent equal to 2, when you don't specify this, automatically takes the value as 2 for the second argument. But here what is happening? Explicitly we specify the parameter. So it is here 3. Second parameter is here 3. So this is what square root and this is cubic root. We get like that. Now just refresh it and see what it says here. The square root of 25 is 5. The cubic root of 125 is here 2.92401. Like this you are getting it. Exactly you are not getting that. Approximately we are getting that particular thing. So in such cases, if you round it up, that would be fine. Okay, so if you want to round it up, that would be basically good. So you can round up that. So like this, what you do exactly, you can invoke, because when you take 3 here, it is basically 1 by 3. That means 0.333. So because of that, we don't get exact value here. We don't get exact value. So we get 2.9214401, because 1 by 3 we have given there. 1 by 3 is nothing but here 1 by 3 means when you try to divide 1 with 3, you get 0.33333 like that. You are not getting exactly the fixed number. So because of that, we get here not correct value. So 5 we are not going to get, but this is giving you approximate value for you. 2.92 is nothing but here. So cubic root of 125, 1 minute. So what exactly is happening here? 25, I should not give 25 here, I should give 125. Sorry, that is the wrong thing I have done. Now let us try to run this. still you are getting actually 4.9999 like that, but you are not getting exactly 5 in that case. Okay, so it is not, you are not getting exactly 5, but you are getting 4.99 because you are giving it as 1 by 3. So 1 by 3 is nothing but 0.333 like that, which is not ending. So because of that you have this problem. Because of that we have that particular problem there. So 0.333 we are taking there. Because of that we are getting the result as here 4.9999 like that, which never ends. Because if you divide 1 with 3 you get 0.333, you keep on getting that particular thing. So like this you can use the like default values for the functions. So in the first case we just pass only 25, automatically it's taking it as 2. But when you go with this here 125 and 3, so you are passing second argument here. Parameter is what? By default its value can be 2. When you miss that parameter, automatically it's going to take it as 2. But here what is happening? You are giving explicitly the value 3. So what will happen with that? It's going to give you here something like 4.999. Reason it is taking there 1 by 3. In the code how I have written 1 by exponent I have given. So because of that it's giving you there 4.999, not exactly, it's giving you 5. Okay, so like this here we could invoke the function. I mean in different ways we are function declaration, function expression, arrow function is returning a value. Okay, similarly we have written a function, so that is taking here only, I mean that is taking there a default argument. Okay, it can take actually a default argument. Okay, sometimes what happens actually, suppose you take sum. When you define a sum function or when you define an average function, you don't know exactly how many arguments you need to pass. Sometimes it may be 3, sometimes it may be 4, sometimes it can be 5, like that you can have. Okay, so the number of arguments may be changing dynamically from one invocation to another invocation, that may change. To handle such things actually you can use the REST parameters. Okay, you can use the REST parameters. So with REST parameters we can define a function to store multiple arguments in a single array. Okay, so this is particularly useful when you are invoking your function with multiple arguments. Argument may not be one, you may pass multiple arguments. So in such cases we can use. So you take example sum only. Sum function may take 3 arguments, sometimes 4 it may take, 5 it may take, 6 it may take. You don't have how many exactly you are going to pass. So therefore in such cases, when you don't know how many arguments you have to pass, in such cases you can use the feature called REST parameters. Okay, so you can use the REST parameters feature. With the help of that you can do it. So REST parameters are called as arbitrary number of arguments. You can go with the arbitrary number of arguments. Okay, so let us try to here define it. So using arbitrary number of things, how it works, see here. Now let me define here a function this way. Function sum, okay, sum all I want to define. If already it's not defined, then it will work properly, but if I already defined, it may give error. Sum all, do we have anywhere? Okay, sum all we have. Okay, sum arbitrary I can say. Sum arbitrary followed by, I want to pass here number of arguments. I can go here with the dot followed by nums, like this I can give. Okay, this will be treated like an array now. This will be treated like an array. Okay, so from array you can pick numbers and accordingly you can do it. So now here you can use some kind of for loop. With the help of for loop you can do, or you can index. Using index also you can access. So just write here let, or you can write var index equal to some 0 you put. Okay, and some var here sum equal to put 0 initially. Okay, then what you write, while index less than. So basically when you go with the rest params, okay, rest parameters, it will be treated like an array. Then write here nums dot length. This is what exactly nums dot length. So array in the JavaScript starts with 0 index. Suppose you take an array which has 10 elements. Very first element is going to be starting with 0 and the very last element is going to be length minus 1. So that's why I'm using up to here less than nums dot length. So including 0, less than nums dot length minus 1 is going to be total. The length of the how many iterations it makes, basically how many elements you have in the array, that many iterations will be made. So now here I want to find sum. Sum equal to, I write sum plus, okay, followed by here sum plus, I want to write this way, nums followed by here index. Then I want to put plus plus here. Okay, what I do exactly with plus plus, it is post increment. First it's going to be retrieving the value from nums with the index. Suppose index is 4, so fourth element it picks. Then after that it's going to increment by 1, so that becomes how much, 5. So like this I want to iterate over it. Okay, then here I write return followed by sum. Return sum, like this I define function. So this can accept here variable number of arguments. It is called as sum arbitrary. So it is exactly what, sum arbitrary. Now let me call them. Did I define any functions earlier? Sorry, any variables on the top? Okay, now I would like to define here some variables. Okay, let x1 equal to 10, okay, x2 equal to 20, x3 equal to, here it is 30, x4 equal to 40. I have here four variables declared. Now let me invoke it here. Okay, I am going to invoke like this, console.log, here sum of, here dollar, then followed by x1, and here x2, again go with the dollar, it is x2, here then we put is, again I go with the dollar, then here it is x1 plus, instead of calling x1 like that, I want to call the sum arbitrary, followed by here I specify this x1 comma x2 like this. So this time it should print for us, only two values, that is where is the issue for us, console.log is fine here. Okay, so curly bracket is not ending here, that is the issue. Okay, so this should print for us 30. Now this time I go with the other thing. So here it is sum of x1, okay, dollar $x2 and dollar this is x3 is, so this time I pass one more argument here, x3. So in the same manner this time I go with the fourth argument as well. Okay, so it is now fourth argument. So here it is comma and dollar, this is x4 is, here we need to write this as x1, x2, x3 and x4, like this we write. So in the first case you have two like arguments, in the second case 3 arguments, in the third case how many arguments you have here, 4 arguments. Function name is only one, same function it is, but number of arguments they are changing here. First time 2, next 3, next 4. So these are called as rest params. Okay, these are called as here rest params here. So this way we can use same function with, changing number of arguments, and that's why we call this as here a function we are defining with arbitrary number of arguments. So for that purpose we need to use here rest param dot 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 nums, and this is called as here spread operator. Dot 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 spread operator also we call it. Okay, so these are called as actually rest params. Now run this here and see. We run this here, what do we get? See in this. You can see here sum of 10 and 20 is 30, sum of 10, 20 and 30 is 60, sum of 10, 20, 30 and 40 is 100. So same function is returning multiple values and it is accepting here variable number of arguments. So this function is also called as a function with variable number of arguments or arbitrary number of arguments. It can be 1 argument or 2 arguments or 3 arguments or 4 arguments or any number of arguments you can pass. So we defined a function with variable number of arguments. So in this session we discussed about actually function declaration, okay, then function expressions, then arrow functions, then similarly we defined a function with default value, okay, and next we are defining a function with arbitrary number of arguments. So this is called as a rest operator. Rest operator is it's called as actually rest param. So rest param is treated as here an array. So because of that, using while loop, I am iterating over the array one by one. Very first one is index 0, and how long I am iterating over the, here in this case the array. So length minus 1 times I am actually iterating over that. Then I am finding the sum. So in 4 different ways actually you can define the functions. So in the next session we discuss about anonymous functions, how to use them, and function currying. There is so much to discuss with the functions within the JavaScript. So but these are what exactly basics of the functions, very basics. So in the next session we discuss about advanced topics. Thank you very much.